fertilizer on the judge, and I mean it's never a good thing. Other than that, I mean, the system didn't know when it was when it was not supposed to spray.
Okay.
It didn't know that because I mean it was so the navigation part was completely done on the uh, Ardu rover software that was made by these people. Let me share you a link over here. And then the detection part was done. We were just using a basic hard cascade algorithm for detection of weed. We took part in the weed and feed competition. My bad. So that was our goal was to detect weed on the fields and then spray herbicides on it and simultaneously detect the corn and fertilizer on them on the corn crops. So the detection part was done on MATLAB because we were just using a hard cascade classifier, and we had like a couple hundred, actually 800 images, not a couple hundred, 800 images of weeds that we took, and then we trained the classifier, and then we were doing that. But that was that was being done on a separate machine, on the laptop that was we strapped on a laptop on top of the robot because we didn't have
Kind of
time.
two different systems, one
Yeah.
driving it and then one doing.
Exactly, and there was we didn't have any camera feedback, so we just added a camera and then used the Wi-Fi to do it using a third-party application. It was awful because we were using we were using MATLAB, so we had to use Windows on it, and then Raspberry Pi was running Raspbian. It was awful, like all three different systems working, trying to make it work. It wasn't a good thing. That's why we switched to ROS. I knew we were supposed to do ROS, but I joined the team way later, so there was nothing to be done. So we just stuck with that, and then this time we're switching to ROS so that we can have like all the sensors, all the actuators and sensors all connected. It would be nice to have a system that's talking, that knows what it knows, that's that knows what's happening.
The full system can talk to each other.
Yes, like a completely connected system, and helps. ROS helps a lot with that. It's about connecting all the systems together. So
Are you in the same competition this year?
it seems like it.
You're doing the weed and feed again?
We did feed again, but this time we are experimenting with neural networks because everyone's doing that. And it seems like the way to go for image detection because there is no other technology that would be as competitive as a neural network is as of now. So we're simultaneously trying to collect data for because last time we only had 800 images. This time we're trying to get more of them. So and last time we didn't find enough weeds because it had rained, and it was because of the season we couldn't find more weeds on the field itself. So this time we're just growing them at our university greenhouse. So we're taking advantage of that resource, and we will hopefully will have some good data for.
Yeah, it'd be nice to find a weed database in your area.
Uh, yes, we've tried to look at some, but I couldn't. I'm a mechanical engineer. I don't even know where to start looking. But uh, there were some people who worked on it, and they thought it would be easier to just find, like, grow our own weed. And we got the biology department at our university supported us. So
That's pretty cool. Then you'll have your own, so then you can do whatever you want with it.
yes, that's the idea. But yeah, uh, these guys have made a tractor using like made a tractor navigate using their software. Uh, it's not a tractor. I would not say it's a tractor. It's like no, it's a tractor. It's a tractor. It's a full size tractor. So they made it work using the tractor, which was pretty cool. But I still don't see how it all connects. You need to write your own different software for managing other.
How are if you use ROS? How are you going to control your robot around?
Uh, so I looked at writing software for each of the parts that we have. Like if we have a motor, then we can download a motor library for Python and then control it. But then it didn't make sense to me for to invest that much time in those parts. Uh, how I thought I would like to do that is to just have all the controller level, all the machine level work done by Arduino itself, if it makes sense. So uh, I will just have to configure an Arduino to, you know, take twist messages from ROS and then just translate them as needed. So let's say if I am scaling from my small robot to a bigger one, then I will just define the twist messages, and then it would be just like one line of code added to it, if it makes sense. So I will
Like
just
a calibration would be done on the Arduino
on the
side,
Arduino itself, yes.
but you still
So
get that same twist message, but you may have to
exactly,
change that a little bit depending on how
exactly,
fast things move.
exactly. So and raw serial works flawlessly with ROS. Like if you just connect an Arduino, it does.
Works.
Yeah, it works. So I don't have to tinker with that a lot. I just have to define a set of standards, like how many Arduinos I need and how I'm gonna what parts are gonna be controlled by one Arduino, or if I'm gonna need more Arduinos. So I've settled on having just one Arduino for twist messages, and that's it. And then I'll have a separate Arduino for actuators on the back, the spraying systems and the servos and other things.
That's fascinating. How many, do you have other software developers working on this?
Not yet.
You haven't been able to rope any other students in there at the university?
I've been trying to find people on campus, but it's like we don't have a good retention. People come in and uh, I explain everything. I invest time and get, you know, getting them motivated, and then I don't hear from them again. So it's it's difficult to find someone who's dedicated
Yeah.
or who's who wants to dedicate some time to this project. So it's difficult, and yeah, funding's always a problem. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we were be able to offer some money to the students, then it would be easier to have more people work on it. But for now, I'm just trying to get things fixed together. But I've taken 3 academic credits for working on this project,
Awesome.
so I get that much extra time to invest in this one.
Yeah, I think starting up for that, that Construct Academy is pretty smart, a robot academy, because
Uh,
there's a lot of knowledge there. They put a lot of things together.
Yes, that's the idea. Like I am not a master of ROS, or I've just read a few, like 2 books for now. Like I bought the 2 books, and they don't explain that much, to be honest. They just give you the an idea of how messages and nodes work. It's called Mastering Robotics with ROS, and I don't know.
What have you found is the most helpful place to learn about ROS?
I haven't the construct sim. I'm sorry, the software, the 260. I always forget their name, but the
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 construct.
ambassador program,
Yep.
they've been helpful in understanding the basics. But I had already knew what I I've just seen like a couple of videos so far. I haven't seen much, but uh, I already know that stuff. So I started with the books that I got from Ross, and then working with through the tutorials helped me know what ROS is and how I can use the intricate parts of ROS, like how services are to be used and how messages are to be used. So that has helped me a lot. The book is called Mastering ROS for Robotic Programming. It's from Pact. Yeah, this book has helped me quite some.
That one's got a lot of good.
Yeah, I think it's from the same person who's doing the course,
Okay.
because I think Lentin Joseph is the person who is the instructor for the constructing or Ross Ambassador program. Yeah, the construct.
Okay.
So I think they're the same people.
That's good. Ross sort of has, everybody says Ross has a steep learning curve. So if there's ways that we can make it easier or pass information around, I think just helping learn.
Yes, it. I if I have time, I would like to write something about how I got.
Are you keeping like a video log of your progress of what's going on and then posting it up?
I just have like papers, so
Yeah.
I have lots of papers, and I have like a file of what I have a file for this meetings, like these meetings and the other meetings I have with the professors. So I just have like I just take a blank piece of paper and then I keep on writing interesting stuff. It's not the most organized way of collecting information, but I mean I don't find the time to do anything else for now. So.
Documentation is always the last thing, it turns out.
Exactly. That's that. I don't know how I'm going to document all of this, like 4 months of work
Yeah.
after this, but yeah, it's going to take me at least 4 more months to document all of the stuff that I've done in a proper manner. I plan to do it. I think it's the most important part of a project,
Yeah.
because if you don't do it, then it didn't happen. If there's no documentation, then it didn't happen.
What's your biggest hurdle you're facing this week?
Uh, I'm just getting started. It's just the
Everything.
time. It's just the time. Everyone wants things done like stat. I can't keep up with it. I need to learn stuff and then I need to implement it, and then there comes errors. So I just can't keep up with all that changing technology, because when we were considering buying equipment, TX1, the NVIDIA then were not that stable. People, I had read on the blogs that people are trying working on ROS, and then we bought like an i7 processor computer, and like we invested lots of money in it, and then NVIDIA comes out with TX2 or TK2. I I don't know the model, but it's really fascinating, and it's a great like board, and it's so small, and you can actually do lots of things on just this board. And I was like, okay, we're done. I mean, we spent like $1,500 on a computer, and now we are broke, basically. And
Yeah.
it would have been nice. Things change a lot, and
Yeah.
so you need to. It's not necessary to keep up with that, but it's also nice to know what are the things that are happening outside of your lab, you know.
Yep.
So yeah, that's why I come here because it's like everyone has a story to tell.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like anytime I try to make something and then I see someone will post something up on the Ross website that's already done or they're doing it this way, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, that's just amazing. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting journey working on a robot and
Yeah.
getting all the parts together.
Austin has this thing called the Funky Chicken Coop Tour, and it's in April. And I went down to the Home Depot and I was looking at some of these chicken tractors they have. They've got like these kits for sale for $200. And I was going to make it look like a little robot and have it. You know what a chicken tractor is?
Not really. I'm gonna
Okay.
search for it.
Well, like chicken tractors are these little pens where you put chickens, and then you have to move the pens because they need fresh grass and fresh insects to eat. And so I thought it'd be fun to drive this thing around like a robot, like a self-driving car. That way, it continues to get new food for them.
Oh,
But
oh,
I haven't bit that one off yet. But thinking about it.
it's interesting. I see that now. It's like for poultry. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, that would be interesting. It just needs navigation, and it doesn't even have to be.
yeah, simple.
It just has to be simple. Yeah, that's interesting. And they've already made it like a commercialized
Uh,
product.
no, they have the pin made for $200. So I got to add motors and wheels.
And they're using ROS for.
Well, I wanted to use Ross just for fun, just as a demo.
Oh, nice.
See if I could make it on the tour, if they would think that that was good enough for their tour.
Yeah, that's an interesting project.
How accurate does a chicken tracker have to be? Do you just have to move it like 3 feet or 5 feet, and it doesn't
Yeah,
really matter?
yep, exactly. Keep getting them fresh grass. If they stay in one spot too long, then they'll just eat everything there, run out of food.
So if you just put a cheap GPS, that's good enough because you don't really care. It's not like you're mowing the yard, have to worry about the flower bed. You just want to move over little bits where there's new grass. So
Yep,
that'd be a great application for that.
I think that would be funny. I always kind of like dream of doing all this fancy stuff, but the other part that would be kind of fun is if it could come over to like the edge of the field where you are in the morning, so you could get the eggs, or drop them off somehow. And then you could even have like a little kiosk where people could go and buy the eggs and put their money in there and then get the eggs out. Just all automated, like a little automated vending machine. Maybe next year. Baby steps. Jeff, you get your skid steer working this week?
Yep, skid steer's running. I just used it to unload a 250-pound generator out of the back of my truck.
Good thing you had the skid steer working.
What's that?
Well, glad you didn't have to pick that thing out of the back of the truck by yourself.
Yeah, I was. It wasn't so easy loading it. That's hefty. I don't know if you can hear a generator running in the background right now. It's a guy gave me a $2,000 generator with 20 minutes on it. He
Awesome.
decided to upgrade to a new one. So I'm letting it run. It's been 2 years since it's been cranked, so it's roaring away in the background.
I can't hear it.
That's good. It makes it difficult for me to hear all of you.
Yeah. Did you get all of your electronics ordered this week?
I got the Arduino ordered. I was looking for the best deal on the Raspberry Pi, and then I got distracted and I didn't get the Raspberry Pi ordered. I was doing a little bit too much research, I think.
Yeah,
Trying to
I
figure it
don't
out.
know if I've seen them under $30. I think they're $35.
Yeah, it seems like just about everything was $35, even straight from Raspberry Pi themselves. Well, their dealers that they list on their website.
If you, I don't know if you're looking for an Arduino by the Arduino organization, or it's okay for you to just buy an OEM Arduino, because I found a few OEM Arduinos on Amazon for like $15.
Uh-huh.
So you should check it out because
Now, the the Arduino I already ordered. I ordered a kit that has all the sensors and everything in it. And Matt had a link he posted last time, and I went there and it was $25.99
Kind of
ordered from
misleading.
China.
I thought that was $9, but it was $25.
oh,
Yeah, the $9 was for the board itself, which
Okay.
is a good deal, but
yeah,
I wanted
for a
the
kid
whole
it's a
kit.
good deal, definitely.
I couldn't hear you.
It is a good deal for a kit. $9 for a board is a fair price. I've seen lots of boards for 9 to 14. I got a Mega for 14, so I thought it was.
Uh-huh.
But if you're planning to use ROS extensively with your Arduino, like if you're planning to use ROS serial, which I suppose you are, then I would definitely recommend a Mega instead of the regular Arduino, because an Arduino Uno would not have enough memory to uh, for your program to run. Because I tried to run an Arduino Uno to get. I had an HCSR04 ultrasonic, and I
Uh-huh.
just I wanted to use ROS to connect it with the Arduino. With the HCSR04 it worked, but I wanted to also give uh, subscribe the Arduino to the twist messages on my car, and it breaks. It doesn't have enough memory, so I had to order a Mega. So I mean,
Okay.
if it's up to you if you want to have more Arduinos for each sensor or actuator, or if you want to just club some of them together just to save on USB ports, and you'll also save some money, because I think and through ROS serial you can run. So there's always just one node. I'm sorry. Yes. So each Arduino would just act as a topic, but through those topics, there could be, I think, 24 nodes per Arduino at max, 24 to 36. I might not be sure about the number there, but it's all in the raw serial documentation. So you might want to take a look at that. So, I mean, 24 I mean, you don't you're never going to have enough memory to have 24 nodes running. It's just to say on an Arduino. That helps when you're using some other boards that raw serial is compatible with. But I would say go for the Mega instead of an Uno.
It was the Arduino board is it the Mega 328 R3 or something like that? I believe is the one that comes in the kit.
Oh, okay, that's perfect. I always thought that they only, yeah, Mega 328P. Oh,
Okay.
that's the Uno. My bad. That's the Uno. I'm talking about 2560. I'll just send you a link to Amazon.
Okay.
So this thing has more memory. and they have like $12 and $13 ones. OEM products, not the original Arduino ones, but they work.
So you can start with your small board, and then when you run out of memory, you can go to a bigger board.
Exactly, yeah, that's the idea. That's what happened to me.
Yeah, that's a different board than the one I had. The 328 is the one that I got.
It works if you're just trying to use like one specific actuator or sensor. I think it should be great. What are you using your Arduino for? I'm curious.
I think you missed that question.
Hey,
Yeah,
Jeff.
my screen keeps on freezing up, and I lose the audio sometimes.
Oh, sorry about
Poor
that.
connection tonight.
I was curious to know what you'll be using your Arduino for.
Oh, at first I'm just learning the Arduino, and then after I learn it, then I want to use it for controlling the throttle on my skid steer. Is my first project.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's something that I'll be doing later this year. Maybe we can team up.
Yeah, I want to have a potentiometer that I can change the speed. I can set a minimum speed,
Hmm.
and then I can still use an accelerator pedal to speed it up more if I need to.
So I think you'll be using a linear actuator to
Correct.
change the throttle. I think there are a few linear actuators that come. I think Kyler suggested one last time, and there are a few others linear actuators that come with a potentiometer inbuilt. So you always have feedback, and you always know what position it's in. So it's the way to go, I think.
Okay.
You're going to need something faster than those linear actuators like Kyler was talking about. If you're trying to actually control the throttle, you're trying to replace a governor that either was on there or it never had a governor on that engine.
Correct. It's a 1978, so it's an old one. So right now the operator has to be the governor. You have to anticipate how much load you're going to need, and then give it a little more accelerator pedal. So I'm trying to eliminate that, where it would automatically sense the load and hold it at a certain RPM.
I just assumed any industrial vehicle would have a mechanical governor on it. You know, even lawnmowers have governors. So
Mm-hmm. It has a rev limiter to keep it from going too fast, but it doesn't have anything governing just a steady state speed, and that's very frustrating to operate.
well, you'll have to put something on the throttle that's fairly quick to respond. So if you get one of these that's a linear actuator that moves, 2 inches per second, that's not going to be fast enough. Like a fast RC servo or some kind of a like magnetic solenoid might be a good way to do that. As you get closer to it, I think you'll have something to play with.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a good idea.
Jeff, I've got a couple books for those Arduinos. If you like some projects, I can email those to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
That's a fun project. I like playing around with those. There is one of those has, I saw a tutorial on like the potentiometer with the servo. That's what kind of made me think what you were saying there. Like you could adjust the
Uh-huh.
potentiometer and then it moves the servo. That was one of the examples in that kit.
I went to a makerspace 2 years ago, and I used their Arduino, and I went through all of the projects they had in the book, in the kit. There was a book that came in the kit. So I went through all those projects, but that was whenever I was still having severe problems from my brain injury. So I don't remember.
You slept since then, so you get to relearn it.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's easy to pick up. Arduino, it's very well documented, and there's like lots of people working on Arduinos. You
Uh-huh.
you'll have a good. There are many good resources available, but Arduino.cc, they have their own set of tutorials, and uh, SparkFun have their tutorials for Arduinos. So if you want to just work on, if you need an example for GPS, I I just had got a SparkFun GPS, so they've been helpful. You can just download a library, and it comes with an example. It helps a lot.
Well, that's good. I had intended 3 years ago to get into the Arduino because I built a solar tracker where the solar panels follow the sun, and I built the mechanical part of it, and then I had my brain injury right after I built the mechanical part, so I couldn't do the electronic side. So I ended up, I purchased a software package or a package with the linear actuators and everything. It was almost $1,000. That was quite expensive when I could have done that myself.
Yeah. Your solar tracker still working?
Yeah, it's in Georgia right now. It's mounted on top of a bus.
Oh. Awesome. Are there any other projects or any other questions for tonight? Any suggestions that we could cover for next week's meeting or in the Slack channel?
I can't think of anything right now. We'll post something if I think of anything on the Slack channel.
Yeah. Do you think it would be helpful to have some sort of an image that we could download and work off of?
I wouldn't have, I have things cluttered for me. I would try to work on that and make things uncluttered. My goal for the project that I'm working on is right now just to make it work completely. Uh, I'm on schedule to have the robot core working by 31st, so in a week. If I have that working, then it would be nice. Then I can. So how I have set up my system would be that I have a robot core and then a bus. So the core interacts with bus. It has lots of forwarding of messages, but I know it's like an extra processing load on the system, but I I think it streamlines what I'm trying to do here, and it differentiates where the code should be, how all things should be, because I don't want to make a network that is easily that is difficult to troubleshoot when something goes wrong. And I'm trying to make a replaceable system so that every time I scale up or scale down on robots, it's easy to just pick things up and drop them there and change, like do minor configurations, and then it's just good to go. That's the idea I'm working toward right now. I haven't posted anything. I'm trying to learn GitHub. I have never used it. Uh, uh, I have used it once, but I wasn't. It was not my project. I've just
Well,
worked on someone else's project, and it was a class project, and it wasn't anything related to ROS. It was a Unity project. So
okay.
but I'm trying to learn more about GitHub, and then I'll be able to upload more of my stuff on there. So it's like publicly available.
It's fun. I'm still trying to get used to that too. Learning process.
Yes, when I used GitHub first, it was through the GitHub app on Windows, which is a great app they made. Yeah, it's a GUI, and if you start working on a project, and it records all the changes, and then you hit commit, and it commits. But on command line, I have to relearn everything. So I've never worked on command line with GitHub, so it's new for me.
There's like a Kraken or something software for.
I'm sorry?
Is there a GUI for Linux?
No, there is not. Not when I checked for it. I have not been following GitHub, but I don't think there is. So there are other third-party softwares that I can see right now that are Linux based.
Jeff Sampson, any suggestions or things we could work on?
I'm sorry?
I can't think of anything right offhand. I didn't get much done this week, so I don't have anything really exciting to present. I did play with one of my GPSs. I found out one thing on the Swift. If anybody has got that to work and they don't like the range between the base and the rover, it turns out you can go into the radio and you can turn the power up by 5 times what it comes as by default. I think the default is it's set to 100 milliwatts, which is probably a European standard, but then you can turn up one number, you can go up to 500 milliwatts. And I haven't tried that yet, but next time I get a chance, I'll try that. I can probably drive all the way around the building and have it work. Or maybe I can drive several blocks away and have it still work. So then I tried my U-Blocks receiver, which just sitting side by side in the lab, they seem to work really well. So I took it outside and made a base station and stuck one on my car, and I let it sit there till I got a fix. But as soon as I started driving, it dropped back to a float solution. And I don't know, there's probably, there's like 3 or 4 pages of parameters I can change, so I'll have to figure out what to do on that. But that'd be a much cheaper solution than the Swift, which is, I think it's $2,000 for the eval kit. And these U-Blocks radios are $75 a piece, and I ordered some of the telemetry transceivers that they use on the quadcopters, and those are, I think, $15 a piece. So you can get a much cheaper solution by doing that, if I can get it to work. So I need to play with that some more.
What model of that U-Blocks are you running?
It's the M8T. So it's the timing based receiver.
Okay.
And if I would have spent more money, I could have got the P version, which is what does P stand for? Professional? No. It stands for position. And it will do all the calculations right inside the receiver. And mine, I have to hook it up to a laptop and run RTK Lab to do all the calculations. So it's cheaper receivers, but then I have to have a big computer to do the number crunching.
Okay. This week I did find that site. I haven't used it yet, but to make the RTK base station with the Raspberry Pi 3 using RTK lib I haven't used it yet, but I thought that would be a fun test.
I also looked at the that Razer IMU, because when I first got it, it showed up and I hooked it up and I noticed that the yaw seemed to be slowly rotating around, and I looked at it for a while, and finally I looked at the code and realized that they're not using the magnetic vector to compensate the yaw, because when SparkFun made the latest version, they threw out all the code that was there and rewrote it from scratch. So it looks to me like the firmware is going to have to be an updated firmware put on the board to get really good results. And I found two different projects where people had copied it and were making modifications. So I gotta get back to that and try it out and see what I can get it to do.
That's a good find.
Yeah.
Yeah, that heading, that drift would be bad.
Yeah.
But
Well,
are there any like issues opened up with SparkFun to let them know?
I'm not sure. There's people asking questions, why didn't it work? What can we do to fix it? Nobody's noticed yet, I guess, what the problem is. So
That was a good find there, Jeff.
I bought several of those boards, so I got to figure out how to get it to work. So
You're committed now.
well, yeah, I guess I got to be.
Did you get them when they were $20?
Yeah, that's what I got.
That was a pretty good deal.
You can't buy the parts and put it together for that. So I ended up getting 4 boards by the time I was done ordering, and so now I got to get it to work.
I picked up one. I haven't tested out the package, and I didn't test the drift, but hopefully this week I'll get some time to work on those. I've got a little RC car like Sohin has, and I want to get that out driving around.
That would be great. I'd like to see that.
Do laps around the parking lot. I've got a parking lot next door. I see all the lines, and it has a little parking, the cement things, and I'd like to be able to drive through there. That's a good test. If you can get the robot to be repeatable and drive through around obstacles, that's fun. Hard. Tell it where to go instead of wherever it wants to go.
Will you be using the MicroTrack software or?
I will. I don't know. No, that doesn't work yet. But I was going to test out some of the packages that are available. I was going to test out that APM, the ArduPilot software, and see how that works. And then that one that just got released this week, I was going to test that one out a little bit.
I don't know which one you're talking about though.
It runs on a Raspberry Pi that it's one that Bob's been posting about.
Yes, I haven't had a chance to look at that.
Thought that would be a fun line following robot. And I like the documentation. I thought was pretty interesting for that Linobot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I can set the link. I'll share the screen. But what I thought was interesting there, basically they lay out the space controller, which is what you'd need to interface the low-level controller to your robot to drive the motors. And that would be where the variation would be from a bigger robot or a smaller robot. But they lay out the different wiring. These could be those little Arduino boards with the motors, and that could be the Raspberry Pi. Well, these are motor controllers, and then the Arduino.
It's an H-bridge motor controller. So
Okay. So we talked about, Tyler talked about different motor controllers, but maybe like a little schematic or drawing of the bigger systems, like for the Mahindra that Bob is working on. But I thought that was a pretty good layout. And then they talk about how to control your motor, how to tune your motors, and then the software for that is all laid out.
that's an interesting package.
So I think this is something that we would need for the micro track or any of the robots that we try to work on. I've never used this software, so I thought it would be fun to test that out. So I guess maybe that would be a good thing to commit to, is to be able to get some software working on the little RC car and take it out for a run around.
That's it. That's my goal right now.
So you're trying to get that done by the 31st.
The base. I don't think I'll be able to have. It won't be running. I'm just trying to get the emergency protocols in place for future expansion. Sort of. I'm just trying to have everything streamlined for future expansions. So when I add more blocks of codes on top of them, it just doesn't shatter, and I don't have to start again. So
Just building out the architecture
exactly.
framework.
It's going to be like, I'm going to be repeating most of the notes, but I think it would be worth it when you'll be able to just change out things and not write different code for everything. I'm just leaving everything, all the controller part, to the Arduinos and other raw serials to figure that out. So just write some.
Awesome.
I'm excited.
That's 8 days.
Yeah, it's kind of scary. I have to keep the deadline because I have my professors asking for it. There's some motivation.
That's motivation. That's good. You just keep putting it off if you don't have that.
Yeah, exactly. I've been doing that. I'm hoping.
Awesome. Well, it was good seeing you guys tonight. If there's nothing else, guess we can see you in the Slack channel and see you next week.
Sure. It was great seeing you all.
All right.
All right.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, see you next time.
Sorry, my connection was messed up this time.